Okay, then I should be able to see it in the.
Okay, good. I also provided a copy to Kathy.
All right, excellent. I'm going to go get Miss Eisenhower and then we'll get started.
Okay, wonderful.
All right. Good afternoon, Miss Eisenhower. Oh, you're on mute.
Is there a lower left-hand button? There you are.
There I am. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, Miss Pullen, you may proceed.
All right. Ms. Eisenhower, please state your name for the court.
Danielle Eisenhower.
And is it true that you were formerly known as Danielle Dwyer?
Yes.
Are you the applicant in this matter?
Yes.
Is it true that the decedent Lawrence C. Eisenhower was your father?
Yes.
Is it true that Mr. Eisenhower passed away on January 29th, 2020 in Jupiter, Palm Beach County, Florida at the age of 79 years?
Yes.
Is it true that Mr. Eisenhower was a resident of Palm Beach County, Florida at the time of his death?
Yes.
Is it true that Mr. Eisenhower's will was admitted to probate in Palm Beach County, Florida on December 8th, 2020, and Lynn M. Eisenhower was appointed as personal representative of the estate?
Yes.
Is it true that Lynn M. Eisenhower passed away on January 5th, 2022?
Yes.
Is it true that you were appointed by the Palm Beach County, Florida Probate Court as successor personal representative of the estate on September 7th, 2022?
Yes.
Now, is it true that Mr. Eisenhower did own real property in Fort Bend County, Texas upon his passing?
Yes.
Your Honor, would you like for me to share my screen to show a copy of the filed will?
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen with you. Taking me a minute. There we go. Miss Eisenhower, do you recognize this last will and testament of Lawrence C. Eisenhower?
Yes.
And this document purports to be your father's last will and testament that was signed on December 28th, 2012. Do you recognize your father's signature on this document?
Yes.
And as far as you are aware, is it true that your father has never revoked this will?
Yes.
Right, Your Honor, may I stop screen sharing?
You may. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is this a valid will in accordance with Florida law as evidenced by the Palm Beach County Court's admittance of the will to probate?
Yes.
Now, after the date of the will, is it true that your father had no children born to or adopted by him?
Yes.
After the date of the will, is it true that no marriage of your father's was dissolved?
Yes.
Is there a need for administration of your father's estate to probate his property in Fort Bend County, Texas?
Yes.
Is it true that the value of the property in Fort Bend County, Texas is approximately $10,000?
Yes.
Is it true that the will appoints you as successor, second alternate successor personal representative to serve without bond?
Yes.
Is it true that another person was appointed as first alternate successor personal representative, but they were disqualified to serve as personal representative?
Yes.
Are you qualified and not disqualified to serve as personal representative without bond and receive letters testamentary?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, is it true that the estate is not taxable?
Yes.
Are you requesting that this court appoint you as an independent personal representative of the estate?
Yes.
Is it true that your sisters, Laura Ball and Jennifer Eisenhower, have consented to you serving as independent personal representative of the estate?
Yes.
And are you requesting that this court waive the appointment of appraisers?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eisenhower. Your Honor, I've completed my questions. We request that Ms. Danielle Eisenhower be issued letters testamentary and be appointed as independent personal representative of the estate to serve without bond or appraisers.
Okay. And all right. So based on your testimony, Ms. Eisenhower, I am going to sign the document admitting your father's will into probate and appointing you as the independent executor. We use a slightly different term here in Texas. It's the independent executor of his estate without the requirement of a bond and waiving the necessity for appraisers. And because you are not a resident of this state, I am accepting the appointment of Ms. Julia Pullen as the resident agent. If there's nothing else, Ms. Pullen, then you are both excused.
There is nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay, excellent. Well, have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. And I was looking for Mr. Harris. Is he going to be joining us?
No, ma'am. This is John Mitchell from Miss Anderson's estate.
Okay, and so you're gonna be testifying on behalf of Mr. Harris?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I trust at this point, do you have the recorded original will in the file?
I do have record of the original will being in the file. Looks like it was filed on November 14th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, I do have that.
Yeah, there's an item that had been omitted. So you can see kind of a quick glance at the record that Miss Anderson, who was married to Mr. Harris, she died back in June of 22 here in Fort Bend County, Missouri City to be precise.
Okay.
And venue is proper. The application is timely. And if you look through her will, it was properly executed, attested to by her, witnesses present.
Mm-hmm.
So all the formalities were met. There aren't any surviving children adopted by the decedent after the execution of her will.
Okay. And is Mr. Harris is a resident of Fort Bend County, correct?
Yeah, he's a Fort Bend County resident. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Do you have the prove up checklist so that we make sure we cover everything with regard to the prove up for the will to be admitted into probate?
I don't know if I have the checklist.
It's not a formal checklist. I don't mean to, I don't mean to confuse you. I just want to make sure that if you are representing the estate, that all of the testimony with regard to the proof of death and any other facts and the validity of the will are properly presented to the court. So
Yes, ma'am. I have all that. I can testify to all that for you.
yes, if you can, just do it on the record, and then we'll be good.
Sure. Okay. So the operative facts are that Sharon Renee Anderson, aka Sherry R. Anderson, Sharon Renee Rayleigh Harris. She died on June 22nd, 2022 in Fort Bend County. She was a resident of Fort Bend County for the 12 years prior to her death. The executor of her will, John Brent Harris, her husband, is also a resident of Harris County and has been for the prior 12 years prior to her death, and continues to be a resident of Harris County to this
Harris
day.
or Fort Bend?
I'm sorry, Fort Bend.
It's okay. It's all right. Just want to make sure.
It's John Harris of Fort Bend County. Sorry about
Got
that.
it. Got it.
So jurisdiction and venue are proper before yourself, Your Honor. The will offered for probate is a self-proving affidavit attached to it. It was executed and notarized in front of a notary public with required witnesses who do not take under the will, third parties. There is no revocation of the will. There are no children of the marriage, and there are no children born or adopted after the execution of the will. The marriage between Mr. and Mrs. Harris was not dissolved after the will. The state has, or any governmental entities of the state have not been designated as a devisee in the will. And the will expressly names John Brent Harris as the executor of the estate to serve without bond, and requests an independent administration of the estate.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. After hearing your testimony, I will admit the will into probate and appoint John Brent Harris as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. I'm waiving the necessity for appraisers, and I've already signed the order, so it should be available in Odyssey shortly.
Judge, thank you so much. This family happens to be really important to my family, so I appreciate you helping us with this.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad to be of service. Is there anything else at this time, Mr. Mitchell?
No, ma'am. Your Honor, we have your rules executed and returned to the file for yourself, and we will get the publications, the oath, the publication, and all that in according to the schedule you set forth.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. If there's nothing else, you're excused. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Have a great afternoon, and have a happy New Year, by the way.
Same to you. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were speaking to me. How are you doing?
I'm good. And I tried to bring Mr. Clements into the room.
I think I see him, L. Clements.
Yes, but he hasn't connected to his audio. I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. He needs to turn on his. Mr. Clements, can you hear us? He's on mute. All right, Mr. Clements, are you there? He's not on mute, but I don't hear his response.
I don't.
And I don't see him, and it doesn't look like he's on a device that has a camera.
Okay.
He's not connected. The camera is not even, there's not even a camera connected. So he'll need to be on a device where I can see him because I'll need to be able to swear him in.
Okay. If you have someone who's after me and you want to kind of move past me, I can give him a call.
Okay, what I'll do is I will put both of you back into the waiting room and I'll
Okay.
put your case on hold and I'll come back to you guys, okay?
Okay, great.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have, is that Miss Kane there with you?
Yes, yes, it is.
Excellent. Good afternoon, Miss Kane.
Good afternoon.
Can you please raise your right hand to be sworn?
Mhm.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
All right, Miss Rowett, you may proceed.
Would you please state your name? Diane L. Kane.
And you're also sometimes known as Diana L.K.
Yeah, sometimes Diana L. Kane.
Okay, and what was your relationship to Robert M. Kane?
Robert was my husband.
And is his full legal name Robert Michael Kane Jr.?
Yes,
Okay, and did your husband die on October 16th, 2022 at the age of 83 years?
yes,
And 4 years have not elapsed since that date, correct?
yes,
And was your husband domiciled and residing in Fort Bend County, Texas at the time of his death?
yes,
Okay, you have in front of you a copy of the will of Robert M. Kane dated May 12th, 2006 that we filed for probate in this case. And do you recognize this as your husband's last will?
yes,
Okay, Your Honor, I'd ask the court to take judicial notice that it has the original of this document in its possession.
I shall, thank you.
Thank you. This will was never revoked, correct?
yes,
And is it true that your husband did not have a marriage dissolved after the date of the will?
yes,
Is it true that your husband did not adopt or have born to him any children after the date of this will?
yes,
And is it true that the will does not name a state agency or charitable organization as a beneficiary?
yes.
Is there a need to administer this estate?
Is there any what?
Is there a need to administer the
Oh,
estate?
yes,
And does the will appoint you to serve as independent executor?
yes,
Is it true that there's no reason you would be disqualified to serve as executor?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Rowett, based on the testimony, I have signed the order admitting Mr. Kane's will into probate and appointing Ms. Diana Kane as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. I'm waiving the necessity for appraisers. And Ms. Kane, you'll get some instructions from the court regarding your role as the independent executor. And I'm sure that Ms. Rowett will go over those instructions and answer any questions that you have. All right, if there's nothing else, then you ladies are both excused. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Are you actually in California, Mr. Junker, or is that just wishful thinking?
I am in not so sunny California right now.
That's
If
pretty
I showed
awesome.
you, watch, it might show up a little bit on the rear camera. I guess it's not. Yeah, it is pouring rain here today. Not sunny California, but that's
Aw.
good because thanks to this technology, I can still see you, and then I'm headed out
Right.
to the national championship game.
Well, enjoy and go Horn Frogs. It's the only other horn that we will root for because we bleed orange in my house. So we will give a little deference to the Texas team this time.
Well, I'll appreciate that, Judge. I know we'd never get it from an Aggie.
Right? They're so elitist.
So.
All right. And Mr. Martinez, good afternoon to you as well. I see that we have Mr. and Mrs. Dawkins. Is that correct? All right. And you guys are not in sunny California, are you?
Jennifer, y'all can go ahead and unmute.
Yes. No, we're not in California.
I know. Only Mr. Junker gets to have all the fun. All right. And so we were here for the guardianship case for Miss Emma Page. Is that correct?
That is correct, Judge.
I love that name, by the way. That's a beautiful name. Okay. All right. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Dawkins, if you will please raise your right hands to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Junker, you may proceed.
Your Honor, as you said, we are here in the guardianship of Emma Page Moreno. I will call my first witness, Jennifer Dawkins. Jennifer, what's your relationship to Emma?
Mother.
And Emma turned 18 on December 29th, correct?
Yes.
She lives in Fort Bend County with you and your husband?
Yes.
Could you tell Judge just a little bit about her and her condition?
She was premature at 32 weeks, and she was in the NICU for 17 days. And she has developmental delays from sitting up and crawling and walking and talking. She received OT, PT, and from the age of 5 months until currently. Around 3 years old, she was diagnosed with autism, and around 5 with ADHD. And around 10, she was diagnosed with migraines, severe migraines. And around 13, she was diagnosed with intellectual disability.
Okay,
And
now, Jennifer, when we started this whole process, first thing we did was had her seen by Dr. Khan. That's one of her regular doctors, correct?
That's correct.
And she's actually seen Dr. Khan more recently, but we filed an evaluation based on a visit from May 23rd of this year, right?
That's correct.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court take judicial notice of the PCME on file from Dr. Farhan Khan from May 23rd, 2022.
Oh, you're on mute, Judge.
We'll take notice of that. Thank you.
Now, Jennifer, Dr. Khan said that Emma's totally incapacitated. She relies on y'all for everything. You agree with that?
Yes.
She can't vote, she can't drive, can't make decisions over financial matters. Most importantly, she can't make medical, psychological, psychiatric, dental treatment decisions, right?
That's correct.
And nothing has changed since May of 2022 to now, has it?
No.
When we first started talking about this, when you and I first met, we considered alternatives to guardianship, such as powers of attorney and supported decision-making agreements. Those are something that Emma wouldn't understand, are they?
That's correct.
So at this point, the guardianship is all we have to be able to advocate for her well-being, right?
Yes.
Now, have we given notice or received waivers from all of the interested parties, including her father and her brother?
That's correct.
So everyone that knows this is going on, and they're okay with the way you're asking for the guardianship with you and her stepdad.
Yes.
Now, we did register you with the Judicial Commission. You and Gary went through the guardianship training, correct?
That's correct.
I'm not going to ask if you actually learned anything from that. That's a loaded question at this point, but you did meet the requirement by getting that certificate.
Yes.
All right. Your background check came back clear as far as we know, and there's no reason you'd be disqualified from serving, is there?
No.
And in fact, y'all are two of the most qualified people on the planet to be her guardians, right?
Yes.
Emma doesn't have any money in her own name that we need to worry about a guardianship of her estate, does she?
No.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, any questions for this witness? Oh, you're on mute.
Just rather quickly, good to see you again, Miss Dawkins. How's everything going with the extracurriculars that Emma had, the swimming and everything?
She's not in swimming currently because it's over. She'll start up next summer. But she still is doing social motions, which is once a week. And she still is doing in school work, vocational skills. So we're still working on those skills.
Great. I remember you telling me that. Sounds great. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Mr. Junker, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I call Gary Dawkins. Gary, what's your relation to Emma?
I've been her stepfather since she was 2.
All right. Now, we've talked about this, so this isn't really a surprise for you. I'm not, just ambushing you here, but you heard everything your wife said, right?
Yes.
On this specific matter, I'm not going to hold you to everything ever with this question, but you do agree with what your wife said, right?
Yes, every word.
Okay. Now, also, I just forgot to ask earlier, you understand that you're going to be under court supervision from now on. That means you're going to have to file an annual report with the court every year to keep them aware of Emma's condition. Y'all are prepared to do that, right?
Yes.
All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, any questions for this witness? Okay. He said no. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Mr. Junker, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor. We just ask that you find Emma Page Moreno totally incapacitated and appoint Jennifer and Gary Dawkins as guardians with full powers of the person only, as minimal a bond as possible, and also ask that the court consider the county paying Mr. Martinez's very reasonable fees.
All right. So based on the testimony, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that Emma Page Moreno is totally incapacitated and in need of a guardian with full authority over the person only. I'm appointing Jennifer Dawkins and Gary Dawkins as the co-guardians of the person of the proposed ward. Bond is set at $5 each. I'm hereby discharging Mr. Martinez as the attorney ad litem and granting his attorney ad litem fees in the amount of $800.
Thank you, Judge. And just one other thing. I know it's on the wheel, and you know Scott well, too, but spin that wheel and get him on there again because he's doing a great job. I know this is early on in doing guardianship ad litem work, but he's done a phenomenal job as an attorney ad litem, and I want to make sure the court knows that.
Perfect. I'm glad you let me know. Thank you. I appreciate that. I always like to hear good feedback, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Judge. Y'all have a great day. And
all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go Frogs, I guess, since the Longhorns aren't in it. No, I do. I wish them the best. Those boys have worked really hard. So yeah, good luck. Good luck to you guys.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. You are all excused. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to try it one more time.
Great.
So-
Looks like
Now he's on a device that has a camera, but he hasn't connected to his audio. Oh, there he goes. I think we may get him. Yay, there he is.
All right. Mr. Clements, you can unmute yourself.
All right, Mr. Clements, you can hear us, but until you unmute yourself, we can't hear you. There we go.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon.
Thank you for your patience. Sorry for my technical difficulties here.
It's okay. We're in 2023 and, we're just going to start anew. So you're perfectly fine.
Great.
If you can raise your right hand, Mr. Clements, to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, Ms. Kasperitis, am I saying that right?
Kasparidis.
Kasparidis. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Clements, would you please state your name for the court?
Luke Clements.
And did Livia Ann Merlini die on May 23rd, 2021 in Athens, Attica, Greece?
Yes.
And did she have a fixed place of residence here in Fort Bend County at the time of her death?
No.
But are you a relative of hers who lives in this county?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Clements, on May 6, 2022, Livia Ann Merlini signed a document that purports to be her last will and testament. To the best of your knowledge, did she ever revoke this document?
No.
Were any children born to or adopted by her after the date of her last will?
No.
And does the will fail to name an executor?
Yes.
And does a necessity exist for the administration of her estate?
Yes.
Mr. Clements, Texas law prevents persons who are disqualified from serving as administrator and from accepting letters of administration. So, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
And are you a resident of Texas?
Yes, I am.
And are you incapacitated?
No.
Great. Is there any necessity for the appointment of appraisers of this estate?
No.
And does the will name the state of Texas or a governmental agency of the state of Texas or any charitable organization as a devisee in the will?
No.
Your Honor, we request the issuance of letters of administration to Luke Clements as independent administrator of the estate.
All right. Based upon your testimony, Mr. Clements, I have signed the order admitting Ms. Merlini's will into probate and appointed you as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. I have waived the necessity for appraisers, and you'll get some instructions from the court with regard to your role as the independent executor. And I'm sure that Ms. Kasparidis will review those questions, those instructions, and answer any questions you have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Clements is not named in the will as an executor, so will he be executor or administrator?
You know what? Let's make sure that that's reflected correctly. He will be the administrator. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to double check so that our paperwork is correct.
No, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. He is the independent administrator.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If there's nothing else, then you are both excused.
All right, thanks, Your Honor. Have a blessed day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, gentlemen. So I have a few people in the waiting room, but some of them aren't. Okay, I do see a Gail. She's with this case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. That's decedent's mother.
Okay, I'm going to bring her in. I see a Cooper Smith. Is that one also?
That is decedent's son. I'm surprised that he's here, but it may be decedent's husband. I'm not sure.
Okay. And then I have an S. Webb Williams, which I think is for the next case. But I have two that are on the phone. So
Brian Lambert is decedent's brother.
I don't have anybody that's identified by that name. So I'm going to bring in these two that are on the phone and see if possibly they are one of those people.
Gail,
Hi,
excuse me. Gail, is Brian with you? You
She's
need to
on mute.
unmute. You're on mute. You need to click the unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Is Brian with you, Gail? Judge, the 417 number by telephone, I believe, is with this case.
Okay, so there are two people that are on the phone. If you can please identify yourselves. But the two people that are on the phone, you're both on mute. So you'll need to unmute yourselves and then identify yourselves.
This is Brian Lambert. I'm the 417-496-7217.
Okay. And Mr. Harvey, is Mr. Lambert going to be giving testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. That's decedent's brother, and Miss Gail is decedent's mother.
Okay. And then there's a phone number starting with 832 and ending with 947. Can you please unmute yourself and identify who you are?
That is Todd Smith. That's decedent's husband.
Okay. And so for the two that are on the phone, they will need to be, or at least dial on using a device that has a camera, because I'll need to swear them in.
Okay.
Okay. I'm here. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Is it Miss Shook?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Miss Shook, you're fine. We're just trying to get everyone else situated. So just give us a little bit to get everybody else situated. All right. I still haven't heard back from the person on 832 ending in 947. Can you please unmute yourself and identify who you are? And then for Cooper Smith, is Cooper Smith going to be testifying?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And so, Mr. Lambert, are you on a device that has a camera?
I do have a camera on here. I just don't know that I have enough internet for it to work.
Okay. So in order for Mr. Lambert to be able to testify, he will need to appear on the camera so that I can swear him in and we can see his testimony. And then I still have not seen or heard from Todd Smith. Mr. Harvey, do you know if Mr. Smith is going to be joining us?
His number was up on the screen. I'm calling him right now.
Okay.
Okay, he says he gets he's being kicked on and off. Cooper Smith is okay. Okay, can you turn on your camera?
Said he had problems yesterday on the internet.
You did.
Gail, you're the oldest one here and you got on no problem. Well done.
Thank you. I was probably the most nervous. My first time.
Well, you're doing just fine, Ms. Shook. You are just fine.
You're helping.
Okay, Mr. Harvey. So I still don't see Mr. Lambert or Mr. Smith.
Todd Smith, decedent's husband, is on the screen as Cooper Smith. He said he just never changed his son's identifier on
Okay.
the Zoom profile. And he's trying to activate the camera as we speak.
Okay.
And I know that that is Brian Lambert's cell phone.
Let's see. I just saw someone else join the waiting room with the last name Lambert, so I'm going to bring them in as well.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
We got everybody?
We have everybody.
All right. Just waiting for Mr. Lambert's audio to connect.
Okay.
Brian's on there, isn't he?
He's at home.
Is Todd on?
There he is. There's Todd. Brian's gone, but Todd's there.
So it looks like Mr. Lambert disconnected. Let's give him.
His video was just up on the screen and then it went.
So this is Brian Lambert. I don't know. I can stay on the cell phone for the audio if I can get the video up, if that would work.
You know what, Mr. Lambert? I saw you on the screen, and that's good enough for me. I know that you're there, so I think it'll be fine. We're gonna go ahead. Are you still there? Okay, so just stay on the audio portion and don't worry about the camera portion.
Okay.
All right. And so Ms. Shook and Mr. Smith and Mr. Lambert, if you will please raise your right hands to be sworn. And Mr. Smith, if you can unmute yourself. Perfect. Thank you.
Is that unmuted? Okay.
Yes, sir. It is. Mr. Lambert, your camera is on, so. Okay. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Okay. All right, Mr. Harvey, you may proceed.
I'm going to start with Mr. Lambert since his is the most tenuous connection.
Sounds like a plan.
Mr. Lambert, would you introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Brian Paul Lambert, and I'm Sheila's brother.
Okay. Are you well acquainted with the family history of the decedent, Sheila Marie Smith?
Yes.
And are you decedent's brother?
Yes.
Was decedent born on December 15th, 1974?
Yes.
Did decedent die on October 3rd, 2021 in Katy, Harris County, Texas?
Yes.
And at the time of her death, did she have a domicile and residence at 3415 Pedernales Trails, Katy, Fort Bend County, Texas?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, did decedent die without a will?
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone ever mention to you that Sheila had a will or wanted to have a will prepared?
No.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that Sheila did have a will?
No.
Did decedent marry Todd Smith on December 21st, 1996?
Yes.
And was she married to Todd Smith at the time of her death?
Yes.
Did she have any other marriages other than the one to Todd Smith?
No.
Did she have any biological children?
Yes.
And was her first son Tyler Delaney Smith?
Yes.
And was her second son Cooper Douglas Smith?
Yes.
Did she have any other children biologically?
No.
Did she adopt any children?
No.
Do you stand to receive any money or benefit from decedent's estate by serving as a witness today?
No.
No further questions?
All right, Mr. Brush, any questions for this witness?
Yes, Joseph, just a couple if I may. Mr. Lambert, good afternoon. My name is Ben Brock. I'm the ad litem attorney that's been appointed on this case. Do you remember speaking with me? I believe it was back in September of last year.
Yes.
And if you remember over the phone, we went through just a series of questions related to Sheila Smith. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're not going to go through all those same questions today. A lot of that was already covered. But is there any additional information or anything you would like to add that we did not get to speak about at the time?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brush. Mr. Harvey, you may call your next witness.
I'd like to call decedent's mother, Gail Shook.
All right.
Ms. Shook, could you introduce yourself to the court, please?
Gail Marie Shook.
Okay, and are you well acquainted with the family history of decedent Sheila Marie Smith?
Yes.
And are you decedent's mother?
Yes.
Was she born December 15th, 1974?
Yes.
And did she pass October 3rd, 2021?
Yes.
At the time of her death, was she living in Fort Bend County at 3415 Pedernales Trail?
Yes.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, did Sheila die without a will?
Yes.
Did she ever mention to you that she had a will or wanted to have a will prepared?
No.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that she did have a will?
No.
Okay. Did Sheila marry Todd Smith on December 21st, 1996?
Yes.
And was she still married to Mr. Smith at the time of her death?
Yes.
Did she have any other marriages other than to Mr. Smith?
No.
Did Sheila have any biological children?
Yes.
And who are those children?
Tyler Delaney Smith and Cooper Douglas Smith.
Any other biological children?
No.
Did she ever adopt any children?
No.
Okay. Do you stand to receive any money or benefit from Sheila's estate by serving as a witness today?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Brush, any questions for this witness?
Yes, Judge, just a couple. Ms. Shook, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
And I know it's been a while, but do you remember speaking with me? I believe it was back in March 2022, last year.
Yes.
Okay. And you remember we went through some questions related to Sheila Smith, talked about her life a little bit. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any additional information you'd like to add or include from the last time we did go ahead and speak?
No.
Okay. Judge, I have nothing further.
All right. And Mr. Harvey, I would say you could call your next witness, but it looked like Mr. Smith stepped away for just a moment. Do you need his testimony for the airship portion or?
Yes, we're not, we don't need an administration in this.
Okay,
case.
got it.
The
Okay.
state was pretty limited.
Okay, we'll just wait for him to come back. It's like he just stepped away for just a minute.
I'd like to call Todd Smith.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Harvey.
Would you please introduce yourself to the court?
Yes, my name is Todd Smith.
Okay, and are you well acquainted with the family history of decedent Sheila Marie Smith?
Yes, I am.
And were you decedent's husband?
Yes.
Okay. When were you married?
It's December 15th, 1986.
Okay. If you need a minute, let me know, Todd. The decedent die on October 3rd, 2021 in Katy, Harris County, Texas.
Yes.
And at the time of her death, did she resided and domiciled at 3415 Pedernales Trail, Katy,
Yes.
Fort Bend, Texas?
Yep.
To the best of your knowledge, did decedent die without a will?
Yes.
And did anyone ever mention to you that decedent had a will or wanted to have a will prepared?
We had talked about it when my dad had passed away at the end of 2020, but we just never got around to doing it because I know we had talked to you about doing it. But yeah, we just never got around to doing it.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that Sheila did have a will?
No.
Okay. Does a necessity exist for the administration of decedent's estate?
No.
Okay. Did you marry decedent on December 21st, 1996?
Yes.
Okay. And were you still married to Sheila when she passed away?
Yes.
Did Sheila ever have any other marriages other than to you?
No.
Did Sheila have any biological children?
Yes.
And who are they?
Tyler and Cooper.
Okay. And any other additional biological children?
No.
Okay. Did Sheila ever adopt any children?
No.
Okay. Did Sheila have a real property ownership interest in the homestead at 3415 Pedernales Trail?
Yes.
And that is a community interest in the property?
Yes.
Okay. And y'all bought that property during the course of your marriage?
Yes.
Okay. As far as personal property, is her personal property listed limited to 2 savings accounts at Bank of America and
yes.
Some other assorted furniture, clothing, that type of thing?
Yes.
Any other personal property of note?
No.
No further questions. Pass Mr. Smith.
All right, Mr. Brush, any questions for Mr. Smith?
Judge, I don't have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Harvey, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. After hearing the testimony of Mr. Lambert, Ms. Shook, and Ms. Smith, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that the heirs of Sheila Marie Smith are Todd Smith, Tyler Smith, and Cooper Smith. I am hereby discharging Mr. Brush as the attorney ad litem and granting his fees in the amount of $1,060. Is there anything further, Mr. Harvey, that the court needs to consider at this time?
No, Your Honor, other than signing the judgment declaring heirship, which we'll get over to the banks and get everything else taken care of.
Okay, that judgment has already been signed, so it should be available later today.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Smith, I'm very sorry for your loss, and also for you, Ms. Shook. You lost a daughter and a wife, and so I wish you the best in the future, and I hope that you find some closure, at least today, and find some joy and some peace as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. If there's nothing further, then you are all excused. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
All right. Hello, Ms. Carr.
Good afternoon, Judge Wallace. How are you?
Happy New Year. Same. I'm good.
Happy New Year.
So I don't know if Webb Williams is with you. Is that
Yes, Webb
okay?
Williams is my client.
Okay. Okay. So she's here as well.
Okay, perfect.
All right. And so thank you for your patience. A little bit longer than I expected for the docket. But this is with regard to the proposed settlement agreement. And there was an in-camera review. And I looked at everything. I just wanted to bring all that were affected in for hearing, just to support, really, this is just a status, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, right?
Correct.
So yeah, I didn't have any problems with what I saw. I know that you wanted me to review it, and I have done so. I don't have any questions or any concerns at all. I think everything looks good. So you just tell me what you need me to do next.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we were a dependent administration and we wanted to get this settlement approved before my client signs it, and just wanted to make sure everything's in line. My clients had a chance to review it, as well as the heirs, which would be the parents of the decedent. They've had a chance to review it, and we are just needing an order stating that they can move forward with signing the settlement agreement. The inventory is currently on file.
Okay.
We should be coming up on our annual accounting, which is probably due maybe in a few months from now. What we would like to do with that is that this was the only asset of the estate. We only opened this estate so that the family could have authority to enter into this settlement agreement.
Okay.
And so once this asset is received from the estate, we will then disperse it to the heirs and pay any outstanding estate attorney fees that would need to be paid.
Okay. So I see the proposed order. For some reason, I know what it is. I just need to go somewhere else for it. Okay. Yeah, so I see the proposed order for the application to approve to enter into the proposed settlement agreement. So I'll sign that, and you guys can move on to whatever you need to do next with the estate.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else that you need at this time, Ms. Carr?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
All right. Same to you. You're both excused, Mr. Williams. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.